Buenas! E aí, my friends? Tudo na paz? Bom, vamos para mais um vídeo com o comandante. Se você me acompanha, você já viu um pouco sobre aviões e sobre voos ao redor do mundo. Mas agora, já viu um pouco sobre os motores dos aviões? Hoje eu vou te levar comigo para conhecer uma das marcas de motores mais vendidas do mundo de avião. Nós vamos para a Continental Motors. É isso aí, my friends. Estamos aqui em Mobile, no Alabama, Estados Unidos, e eu vou te apresentar a fábrica da Continental. Um conteúdo exclusivaço que não tem lugar nenhum. E nós somos convidados pelo Felipe, que é o representante sul-americano da Continental, para vir aqui aos Estados Unidos e conhecer um pouco mais da fábrica que fez e ainda continua fazendo história na nossa aviação mundial. E não somente brasileira. Afinal, as maiores fabricantes, as maiores marcas de aeronaves utilizam Continental como seu motor. Cirrus, Beechcraft, Cessnas, cara, entre outros aviões utilizam Continental Motors, cara. Surreal, né? Que convite e que dia que nós teremos. Então, vem comigo, fica aqui nesse vídeo até o final, que eu tenho certeza que você vai curtir muito. Se você não é inscrito, se inscreva agora e já deixa seu like. Mas se você quiser deixar o like no final, tudo bem, porque eu sei que você vai gostar. Vem comigo, bora lá na Continental. Vou apresentar o Felipe, responsável da South America, hein, Felipe?
Cuidando da América Latina e de todos vocês.
Isso
para
aí.
Trazer, manter ainda tudo que está acontecendo e trazer as novidades nossas da Continental.
E aqui também temos o Vadim. What's up, my friend?
Hey, good.
How you doing?
Good to have you
right?
here, brother.
Yeah, so we are here to show them, to show Brazil and the world, the entire world, how our engines are made.
Absolutely. We're gonna show everybody here that's willing to listen how we do things here at Continental, our standards of manufacturing,
Oh, yeah.
and what really goes into getting that top quality Continental engine in your airframe.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Same.
Let's
have a
go.
good time.
Let's go, my friend. Vamos lá, vamos juntos, vamos ver isso tudo.
É uma fábrica, ela falou ontem o tamanho da fábrica, eu esqueci, eu vou perguntar de novo, mas é uma fábrica de mais de o quê?
Mais de 100 mil pés quadrados.
100 mil pés quadrados. Ai, friend, é grande. Tudo automatizado, mas óbvio também tem o ser humano trabalhando. Né?
Exatamente.
Porque precisa ainda do ser humano para dar aquele toque, para acompanhar o que a máquina está fazendo, as configurações da máquina também, né?
E para fazer uma verificação final também, entendeu? Como a gente tem todo o processo aqui dentro de casa, lógico que nós não temos dentro da fábrica toda a parte de forja, essas coisas do tipo dos metais, da base deles para poder vir, mas depois disso, tudo é feito aqui dentro de casa. Tudo feito de casa.
É 100% americano.
100% americano.
Até a galera fala que ainda são utilizados materiais chineses ou coisa assim, mas não são utilizados materiais chineses, é 100%.
100% americano.
Dá uma olhada, vai três. E o motor, a máquina coloca ali
A cabeça do cilindro.
a cabeça no cilindro, olha que show, tudo automatizado, cara. Carrega. É um espetáculo.
E todos seguindo o mesmo padrão de qualidade.
Todos
E isso que
mesmo
minimiza muito o risco de diferença, manter a qualidade para todos eles, para toda a linha.
Por isso que às vezes a galera até fala, pô, cara, mas o meu motor não veio bom. Como que o seu motor não veio bom? Que é exatamente o mesmo standard de qualidade, né?
Para
É
todos, para todos.
O mesmo passo a passo, é o mesmo guia, é a mesma evolução, o mesmo tudo, cara.
E é exatamente isso, seja para o motor O200, para o motor O470, IO520, 550, GTSO, é o mesmo padrão de qualidade para todos.
É bizarro. E eu vou te falar, mas se você vindo aqui, você entende realmente o que é um padrão de qualidade, o que é um padrão, na verdade. Isso é um padrão.
Isso é um padrão.
É um padrão, é algo repetitivo, aquele algo que dá certo e se repete, é um padrão, é um
Sim.
standard.
É.
Então esse padrão é levado ao maior nível de qualidade possível e ele se repete.
É exatamente isso, e só para vocês terem uma noção, nessa nossa planta nós temos alguns maquinários que nenhum fabricante do mundo de parte de motor tem o mesmo maquinário para manter o mesmo padrão de qualidade. E isso é incrível. Isso é o que a gente consegue trazer o padrão para os nossos motores.
Eu até vi que tem, a gente vai ver mais pra frente, mas tem maquinários que foram feitos para Continental.
Exatamente isso.
Feito a pedido
A maior
Continental.
parte do maquinário que tem aqui foi fabricado sob demanda da Continental.
Isso é animal, isso é bizarro, cara. É muito incrível estar vendo isso de perto, estar acompanhando esse passo a passo. É incrível, de verdade, cara.
Quem é da aviação, quem está acostumado a ver as oficinas, que vê os passos a passo no Brasil, por exemplo, uma revisão geral, de uma manutenção mais básica, não faz ideia da dimensão e do tamanho que é uma fábrica assim como a Continental.
Eu concordo. Eu não fazia ideia. E ó, que eu sou da aviação, a gente já fui na fábrica da Beechcraft, já
Sim.
fui na fábrica de outros fabricantes de aviões, e isso aqui É diferente, cara.
É diferenciado?
É sério.
É diferenciado.
É diferente. Não é porque eu tô aqui nem usando o uniforme Continental, mas é diferenciado, porque aqui é muito o avião, vamos lá na Textron eu vi que é muito manual. Eu acho que, se não me engano, tem uma máquina automatizada na Textron. Então é muito manual, são linhas de montagem que o avião passa. Uma pessoa cuida dessa montagem do começo ao fim, passa para outra e se encerra no final. A estrutura é longa, mas não tem essa quantidade e variedade de coisas que precisa ter no passo a passo do motor.
Na realidade, o que acontece? Por boa parte do nosso tempo, os motores foram fabricados manualmente. Mas cada dia que passa, para a gente conseguir manter a segurança, que vai estar entregando o mesmo produto final para o cliente, a gente foi vendo a necessidade de ter os maquinários para poder manter esses padrões, para manter a mesma qualidade. Então, foi feito um investimento muito grande, principalmente nessas máquinas, para os clientes receberem sempre o mesmo motor com a mesma qualidade de mais de 120 anos da Continental.
Animal. Isso aqui é só a parte da cabeça do cilindro.
É só a parte superior da cabeça dos cilindros. Esse maquinário inteiro é só para a parte superior da cabeça dos cilindros. Ainda vem a parte do barril, o barrel que nós falamos, que é uma outra máquina que nós damos sequência.
All right, guys, let's talk about cylinder heads. So our Continental engines are horizontally opposed air-cooled cylinders, right? So for cooling, the cylinder head has incorporated cylinder fins, head fins that help with cooling when the airplane's flying, get that ram air through the cowling, goes over these nice cylinder fins to cool the engine down, right? So unlike vehicles, the cylinders on a Continental engine are made out of two main components. You have the cylinder head and the cylinder barrel, right? So the cylinder head come to us as a casting from the casting company, and they're being brought here, and these machining stations are responsible for bringing it to a casting, to a finished machine product, and then goes for further processing, right? So this area here is composed of 5 machining stations. We started with 4. So you see the core design of this machining station is modular. So you can have only 1 machining station. We had 4 in the beginning, and now we added a brand new one. If you walk over there, you see how all these have oil on the screen because they've been working for years now making parts for us. You see all that one? That one is nice and clean. This is our new one addition, you know? So here at Continental, we constantly adapt to demand. So we added a cell to increase our production capacity, right? So now we have 5 machining stations for heads alone. Nice. Now it takes about 15 minutes to go from a raw casting to a finished machine product from this station right here.
Insane.
Absolutely. Yes, so talking about production optimization, in our old facility, it took about 38 minutes to process a cylinder, and now it takes 15, so that's less than half the time.
Aqui é uma cabeça de cilindro crua, que ela chega assim do cast, que é basicamente o que está na mão do Vadinho aqui agora.
Olha lá.
When we receive the cylinder head from the casting house, this is a sand cast, and you can see the fins are already present. And it goes a lot of attention because you have to make sure there's proper spaces, and the cylinder fins are nice and straight, and there are no pits in it or anything. You can see there's no thread here, it's all smooth. There are no orifices for your push rods or for your valves or for your guides. No boss for the spark plug. So this is just a raw piece of metal that was cast. So it's this machine's responsibility to bring it from this one. And I'll go put this one back, and I'll bring you guys a finished casting to see how it looks like.
E agora é a parte finalizada depois que passa pelo processo.
So after this machine is done with the raw casting, this is how it looks like. So you have your injector boss, your spark plug boss, the bosses for the intake. You see the bosses for the valve guides are there, for the valve seats, and another thing you see, the threading is already machined for the cylinder barrel to go on. Again, about a 15-minute process, goes from what I just showed you to this.
Vamos ver ali uma próxima estação.
A próxima estação agora é a parte de baixo dos cilindros. O que é a parte de baixo? É o barril. O barril, basicamente, vocês vão ver agora nessa próxima etapa, ele é rosqueado com a cabeça do cilindro. E isso é uma coisa que é muito legal, que é por um método de diferença de temperaturas antagônico. Por esse processo antagônico, você faz a fusão dos metais só com a diferença de temperatura. E depois que gruda na primeira vez, depois de torqueado a primeira vez, esquece, não solta mais.
Vai mais.
Não
É
solta
igual
mais.
eu e minha mulher, filho. Depois que vai rodar uma vez só, acabou.
Ó, você gosta de iFood? Olha aqui. Olha aqui, ó. Ao invés de comida, Olha as ferramentinhas para vocês aí.
Aqui desse lado,
Aqui desse lado, basicamente, é a fase oposta da máquina da cabeça do cilindro. Na mesma região da fábrica, só que do outro lado, que é onde nós trabalhamos com a parte do barril.
do barril.
Aqui o barril.
Então, na seção 2 da segunda parte, depois que ele passa na parte de cima do cilindro, vem a parte de baixo, o barril, né? E ele chega exatamente assim, cru.
So we talked about cylinder heads for a little bit. Now we're going to talk about the barrel, the second major component of the cylinder assembly. So the barrel gets to us in the form of a forging. And this is through hardened steel, right? You notice, unlike the cylinder heads, the fins are not here. So it's the responsibility of the machines behind me to cut this barrel, right?
As máquinas que estão aqui atrás são as responsáveis para poder fazer todos os cortes, as roscas, etc. O peso.
O peso disso aqui é absurdo, tá?
To
Olha a
this.
diferença.
So this is the same part, right? Before and after.
Antes e depois. E a máquina responsável por fazer isso são aquelas máquinas ali.
You see the cylinder, you see the cooling fins are machined in, the threads are machined in. So then what's going to happen, this head is going to go into this barrel right here. The cylinder head is going to be heated to 600 degrees Fahrenheit for expansion,
600.
at which point you will receive is valve guides and also the valve seats. And then they're going to be threaded together, and from there they're married for life. And that's how a basic cylinder assembly takes shape.
Fantastic. The same of my wife and me.
Yes,
We turn together, heat together, and it's for life.
it's for life, absolutely.
Dona Bia, o homem não para de falar de você, Dona Bia.
Um detalhe importante é a diferença de peso do material cru para aquele material
O final.
pronto. O final
É
absurdo.
muita diferença, é muita
Eu vou
diferença.
mostrar na prática. Chega aqui. Só para você ver o peso agora, a facilidade que a gente capta
Aqui,
do material. Olha isso aqui. Leve,
extremamente leve.
extremamente leve. Muito, muito legal, muito bom.
E agora a gente vai para a base crua e veja a diferença de
Mario,
peso para conseguir levantar.
Agora vamos aqui seguir ele pra gente ver como é que é feito essa parte na CNC, cara. Olha que surreal.
this is the machine doing the work. You see the barrel over there, it's very machine.
Oh yeah, I see it. So he's doing right now
Absolutely.
what we saw over there.
What we saw over there.
The barrel.
That's the barrel. That's the machine. Does the machining, the cutting. Another important aspect of this machine, they have built-in safety checks and also quality checks. So if a machine detects that a tool is worn or is not performing properly, the machine will know because it has internal built-in dimensional checks, and it will stop the process, alert an operator that something is wrong. So the operator needs to come see what's wrong and replace the tool, or if some modifications is needed, all that's going to be done here.
It will be by audio or visual alert.
So you see there's a light over there, which is green.
Oh yeah,
Yes, if the light turns red, that means that this machine requires attention.
nice. Oh, look at that, man. I can see the barrel. I can see the barrel inside just spinning.
Yes.
Fantastic. And how the cut is made? I mean, it's in a pressure of water. Is how the
No, there's actually a metallic cutting tool, and the oil that you see is for lubrication and cooling.
All right.
Absolutely.
all right.
Yes. Yes. It's all metal on metal contact with specially designed lubrication and cooling oil.
Just came out.
Yeah.
Nice. Olha que show. Esse acabou de sair da fabricação e ainda vão inspecionar. Acabou de sair, cara. Olha só como ele sai lindo, velho.
Hot off the press, brand spanking new.
Just fresh.
As you get.
And it still has to be passed through some quality checks, right?
Absolutely.
Some
Every single
inspections.
part, every single part.
Nice. Pô, animal, velho. Olha lá. Então eles ficam aqui e transforma naquilo lá. Pronto. Especial, especialíssimo. E tudo maquinário, tudo automatizado, my friend. Doideira. Muito top.
É difícil de imaginar, cara.
Não, é muito difícil de imaginar. Olha aqui a sessão.
Todos esperando para fazer a
Todos
rosca.
esperando pra fazer a rosca. Lá ele, fi. E lembra que a gente falou que a fábrica, ela é amiga da natureza? Isso aqui tudo é o que sai daquela parte bruta do material antes de fazer o barrel, antes de fazer o barril, a parte de baixo do cilindro. E isso aqui tudo é coletado e enviado para reciclagem, my friends.
Então, tudo isso aqui é enviado para reciclagem, para que eles possam utilizar esse material e refazer novos componentes, porque afinal ainda é o mesmo material, só está em um outro formato. Então depois eles levam para uma caldeira, refazem isso tudo, colocam numa peça bruta novamente e volta para a fabricação. Especial, e tudo feito nos Estados Unidos, 100% US made, não tem partes chinesas como a maioria pensa, como muitos falam por aí, matando esse mito que rola aí, né? Agora é a parte especial, a parte de tratamento, né?
Principalmente de banhos, tratamentos,
aqui
toda essa
isso
parte.
aí, parte dos banhos químicos, tratamento de temperatura e outros fatores que são feitos nessa planta aqui, que é para a durabilidade, né? Do cilindro, para a durabilidade do motor. E também evitar corrosão. Varin, so the cylinders, after they're ready,
Yes.
they come here to have bath or components washing to prevent corrosion and stuff, or it's a heating process.
So here's for this specific, these specific machines behind me are dedicated to crankshafts.
For crankshaft.
Yes. So two things happen here. When we receive the forging, right? When the forging is being created, there are some inherent stress being created by forging the crankshaft. So what we do, we bring it here, bring the crankshaft to a certain temperature for about 12 hours to straighten it out and relieve all those pressures,
Pra tirar toda a pressão da forja.
to relieve all the stress that was creating during the forging process, right? So after that is done, the crankshaft will then proceed to go to the machining station. We'll talk about it later today, but after it's being machined and ground, it comes back here again for the nitride process. So the crankshaft will be heated again to about 900 to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we shoot plasma nitride onto it, and that creates a hard shell about 30 thousandths of an inch deep to create that extra hard layer on the top to the journals that'll be exposed. They're gonna have bearings on them, right? So the crankshaft itself, by design, is the hardest component in the engine, right? Because that's what transfers linear motion into rotary motion. That's what gives you your power, the propeller, but it takes it under a lot of stress, right? So because of that, we'll make it extra strong here.
Gotcha. That's what makes them very durable.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely. So it's hard, but still we even have a hardness. And then if a crankshaft is reworked, right? So you can service a crankshaft and you can grind it 10 thousandths of an inch under. But when you do that, you have to run the crankshaft through the nitriding process again, right, to recreate that hard layer. So the process can be repeated if needed.
So one of those machines makes one at each time, or more than one?
No, so they have these carriers in here.
Alright.
This is the fixture where the crankshaft will be installed on, and this fixture, along with crankshafts, is going to be put in that machine over there, and we'll do multiple at the time.
Gotcha. So it's almost 12 at each time in there. Cara, basicamente todos os eixos de manivelas, né, são colocados aqui, que é a parte que precisa ser mais durável no motor, né, Felipão? Porque afinal é onde ele recebe todos os estresses do motor e passa toda essa energia para a hélice, que é o que faz o motor girar, né?
E na verdade, essa etapa do processo, principalmente, é o quê? Os eixos, eles são forjados. Por conta da forja, o material acaba ficando muito estressado.
Sim.
E essa etapa de permanecer no forno por muitas horas é justamente para remover o estresse dos eixos para a gente conseguir seguir o processo de fabricação.
Animal, cara. Olha só, cara, coisinha linda.
So you noticed when we were talking about cylinder heads, they're all silver in color, right?
Yeah.
They're aluminum.
Yeah.
And they look just like this. You see it's silver, so you say, hey, Vadim, the Continental engines are gold in color.
Yeah.
So the initial process of obtaining that, it's called the Aladyne process. So this happens here as well. This is a special processes room. So that's where they get the Aladyne treatment and turning from silver to this beautiful gold color.
For Continental colors. Huh?
Continental colors, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
They will receive paint at a later stage, but this is the initial treatment, and that protects against corrosion as well.
My friends, e esse aqui que dá a cor, então, dos motores Continental, dos pistões Continentals, né? Que é bem característica de quando é um Continental. Essa cor é dourada, vamos dizer assim, que é Aladino.
So while we're here, let's talk a bit about our metrology lab, right? So we have a metrology lab and we have an instrument lab. So every single tool that's used in this factory, it's on a calibration schedule, right? So they have various tools depending on usage and purpose, have various calibration schedules. Some of them have a 3-month calibration schedule, some of them 6 months, some of them a year. So each individual tool is labeled, it has its own barcode, its own ID, and we have a department responsible to make sure that all tools are in calibration, right? So if a tool is approaching its calibration date, we'll have a person collecting the tools, bringing them in here. It's a highly secure area. You see there's a cage over there. Only a couple people in the whole company have access there. So the employees will come to the lobby, if you will, and drop off the tools. And then the person responsible for calibration will pick them up, do the calibration, and bring them back up here, right? So it's a strictly controlled environment. We're talking about very small measurements here. We're talking about thousandths of an inch, right? Units that are thinner than your hair. So every single thousandth of an inch matter here. So that's why all the tools have to be kept in calibration at all times.
And also the instruments for the machine as well, the CNC machines, everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything has to be checked for dimensions.
How long are you working for Continental, Andrea?
I've been here about 12 years.
12 years? And you love it, right?
Every day.
I can see.
I get to hang out with you guys.
You might look at this and ask, wait a second, this one is gray in color. What's happening here, right? So Continental manufactures cylinders for Lycoming engine applications as well. It's called PMA, so it's called Part Manufacturer's Approval, right? So we're allowed to make it. If you can prove to the authorities that you can make the product to perform equal or better to the original, you obtain permission to manufacture parts for them, right? So customers that, especially flight schools that have high usage and they need to purchase cylinders for the airframes, we can supply these as well.
Essa linha de produto acabou sendo tão solicitada pelos operadores porque os fabricantes não conseguiam suprir a demanda. Eram aviões que acabavam ficando parados por meses ou anos. E a gente acabou aproveitando essa demanda para poder entregar um material de qualidade melhor ou igual para essas máquinas continuarem voando, entendeu?
This is nice because when you see a gray cylinder over here, you know that it's not Continental because Continental is not that color, it's different color, you know, the first thing.
It's a top quality Continental product nevertheless, absolutely. Protection to the cylinder head and also for visuals, because you know when you uncrate that beautiful gold Continental engine, right, it's going to look perfect. So in this area is where the cylinders are being painted. So the barrel gets the black paint here, and the head is going to get painted the Continental gold color that we all know, right? So all that happens here. So when the cylinder gets here, it already would have the valve guide, the valve seats in, it's going to be threaded like we talked before, right? So what happens here, this is where a cylinder becomes a cylinder and valve assembly.
Aqui é uma etapa já mais manual. É tanto a etapa da pintura dos cilindros quanto a montagem valve, etc.
Valve springs. The valves themselves, the springs, the keepers, the retainers, everything is going to be installed here, and you go from a naked cylinder to valve assembly.
Olha só, então ele sai daquilo, passa pela pintura e chega a esse padrão final.
Basicamente ele vem daquele primeiro tratamento do halogene, vem para cá, onde é feita a pintura tanto preto quanto dourado, da cor única nossa da Continental. É feita a montagem da parte das válvulas e dado sequência do processo. Basicamente, aqui é o cilindro que sai pronto para o aftermarket poder comprar.
Animal.
So you can see the valves are in. This is the complete cylinder valve assembly. Also, you notice there is a dark tint inside the cylinder barrel. This is called the manganese phosphate coating. And what that does, it helps with preserving the cylinder. So from here, the cylinder can go two ways. It can either go to the assembly, or it can be shipped to one of our distributors for aftermarket support, right? So what this does, if you keep a cylinder on the shelf for a long time, this prevents it from corrosion as well.
Esse tratamento é um tratamento mais recente, vamos assim dizer, que a gente vem fazendo nos nossos cilindros, juntamente para proteger, ajudar na proteção de operadores que não vão tanto. Então, para evitar uma corrosão, alguma coisa interna no cilindro, entendeu? Isso é um processo relativamente novo que a gente vem fazendo.
Nice. And now it's ready.
Now it's ready. So from here, it's done. It can either go for assembly in the engines, or it can go for sale or to the aftermarket support, right?
Se você compra um cilindro para instalar, vamos supor, precisou trocar o cilindro do seu avião hoje. Você vai comprar um novo, ele vai chegar assim para você. Vai chegar dessa maneira.
Okay, so I need 6 of those to mine airplane. That's correct. That's fine. Okay. Can I pick up? Put a one and a.
I can show you where to buy them.
Do I have discount as employee? Poderia, né, my friends? Deixe seu comentário aqui para fazer o mutirão e deixar eles dar um descontinho para
Dependendo da
nós.
quantidade de comentários, a gente pode pensar, hein, cara.
Opa, quantos comentários e quantas curtidas a gente tem
Precisa de bastante, viu?
the engine, this is a crankshaft, right?
Crankshaft.
So this is a crankshaft forging. This is how we receive it from the supplier, right? So from here, the crankshaft is going to go to the heat treat process, the initial heat treat process that we talk about for stress relief, right? After it spends a good few hours in there, then we're going to bring it here and we're going to install that on that machine and begin the machining process on there.
Olha que legal, cara. Então, lembra aquela máquina que nós vimos lá, onde esses materiais foram levados estressados, feito todo o teste de estresse, e agora ele está pronto. Então ele está cru, estressado, já com a maior durabilidade possível aqui. E aqui vai lá para a CNC Zona braba, mestre, que é feita só para Continental.
Essas máquinas foram desenvolvidas para nós. Tem duas no mundo e as duas são aqui em Mobile, no
So
Latam.
this is the machine that you told us that is manufactured for us, for Continental.
So there are only 2 machines in the world and we have them both.
Nice.
Absolutely. So this machine has they're fully independent. We have one operator operating both machines at the same time. They run off a preset program. As you can see here, this is called the tool hive, right? So all the tools that you see here, every single one is used to manufacture a crankshaft.
Isso é louco demais, cara. Olha só. Sozinho elas são trocadas, sozinho elas mudam e continua o processo de fazer aqui o eixo de manivela. Louco, 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 louco. E um operador é responsável por essa máquina. Então ele que acompanha, ele que verifica, ele que coloca os inputs na máquina e o resto a máquina faz sozinho. Essa máquina transforma isso aqui para o que você vai ver daqui a pouquinho. Aguenta aí, que você vai ficar impressionado o que essa máquina faz sozinho. 2 no mundo e as 2 estão aqui na Continental. É um absurdo, my friend. That's really better, huh? Makes more functional and more faster.
When you do a changeover from, say, a 4-cylinder to a GT or whatever, you're only changing over one machine.
That's
You're
it.
not changing over 10.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time you change over, you risk running a bad part, setting the machine up, dialing it in. You don't do that anymore. You got one machine, change it over.
And that's
Typically,
it.
we run one off the CMM. And it may not be perfect. Engineering will still buy it off. These guys here will tweak it in if it's going to the program. And we're just putting our head down and running.
So how long does it take to get from that forging there to this finished part?
This particular part we're running here is about 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. That's nothing.
Well, that's for just for this cycle, right?
Yeah, for the sec. But it's me. You see that part over there just raw? To see this one, I can imagine like the whole day just doing this.
I used to run 4 machines down down the street at one time. 4 machines, totally different machines. They didn't have anything in common with anything else. But by the time I got done running a part through 4 machines, it was only about a third of the way done. So now I've got one machine that's got a complete part ready to go to heat treat in the grinders and into an engine.
Beautiful. It's like magic, isn't it? Look how beautiful it looks like. Absolutely. Super knowledgeable. He participated with his expertise during the creation of these machines because yes, we went to the machine manufacturer and told them what our needs are, and they were made specifically for us. He is the brain of the operation here. So we take it from the forging that we saw there to this crankshaft right here.
Olha só, então ele sai daquilo e se transforma nisso. Olha que especial, cara. Cara, que loucura. Como melhorou isso, como mudou isso, né, cara? E é óbvio, cada vez que passa o tempo, eles querem melhorar mais a produtividade, a eficiência e também a segurança, né? Manter a qualidade. Até porque operar 4, 5 máquinas para sair um produto, agora é só uma. Então, diminui muito o risco que se tem de ter um produto ruim, um material ruim ou que algo saia de errado, né? Então, ali agora é uma máquina só. E o Pautora, 3 horas e meia, eles conseguem finalizar aquela peça crua para aquela peça totalmente polida e maravilhosa. E agora o camshaft, né? A gente tem o crankshaft, que é o eixo de manivela. O camshaft, ele é responsável pelos bicos, né? Então ele seria... pelas válvulas. É o maestro das válvulas. Maestro das válvulas.
So let's talk about the camshaft. You know, the role of the camshaft is to actuate the push rods and the lifters and the rocker arms. So this is what decides the intake and exhaust timing as part of a 4-cycle engine here. So the camshaft is received by us as a forging, looking like this. This is a camshaft forging as well.
Chega da forja dessa maneira.
And those 2 machines back there are responsible for machining and grinding the camshafts. So you will go from something looking like this to...
Para isso. Olha, look how beautiful it is after
Sai
done.
daquele estado para ele.
That's amazing.
This is not quite finished. The holes have to be drilled for the gear as well, but it's almost there. So you go from that chunk of metal to this. All right, so we talked about the forging, we talked about heat stress, we talked about the machining process, and then another layer of heat treatment after that, and then the crankshaft is gonna go to polishing, and then it's gonna come here. So you see how beautiful it is. Look at those journals, how nice and shiny they are, right?
Yeah.
It's all done on purpose. There's a specific roughness requirement, or shininess, if you want to call it that, for these journals, right? While we are here, this station is responsible for dynamically balancing the crankshafts.
Has to be
You
perfect,
have,
right?
you have the machine over there. We're gonna install the crankshaft in that unit. We're gonna spin it to certain RPM, and we're gonna see what the balance needs to be. And then
Onde que eles vão.
we are going to attach counterweights to these counterweight cheeks. So the counterweights are weighed, and depending on where the balance needs to be, the operator will install the necessary crankshaft counterweight to make sure it's smooth. So dynamically balanced, and that's why when people talk about Continental engines, that they're so smooth. And they are smooth because all the care and attention to detail that we put into manufacturing these,
Yeah.
right? So if you step over here, you see this crankshaft
Yeah.
already have the counterweights on it, right? And you see them moving around. This is by design because it relies on centrifugal force
Yeah.
to keep
It'll
them.
keep
Yes,
pushing.
absolutely.
It'll be at the
And
same-
you also notice that the end of the crankshaft has the silver at the end. This is tin plating, and the purpose of that is also for corrosion protection. Because from here in, the crankshaft is going to live inside the engine in an oily environment, and it's going to have natural protection from the engine oil splashing around. This is going to be exposed to the elements. So that's why you have that tin plating over there.
Oh, gotcha.
Absolutely.
That's insane.
Justamente para evitar esse tratamento de corrosão, é como fica do lado externo,
Sim,
para evitar que tenha corrosão na parte de
sim.
fora.
E aqui está protegido pelo óleo, então.
Por óleo você não tem esse dor de cabeça.
And those are the weights,
Those are the
the
counterweights.
counterweights.
Absolutely.
And the machine says the exactly weight that you have to put into the crankshaft.
Yes, it tells you. It's like balancing a tire. You know, you put it, you spin it, and you see
Yeah.
where you need to add the weights. So it's the same principle.
Aqui está, é assim que é. Fica aqui na máquina, ele gira, mostra, a máquina mostra o quanto precisa de peso, é colocado o peso e aí sim está totalmente balanceado e por isso que o motor Continental gira muito suave, muito tranquilo, muito gostoso. Mas é aqui. E isso aqui não permite erros. And how many inches this machine can read? It's like it's very, very thin, right? Like it's just, I don't know, thinner than, lighter than anything. They can feel that it's not balanced and you say to correct it.
Extra sensitive. Yeah, this is our state-of-the-art machinery.
Nice.
Crankshaft, you know, from receiving the forging to a finished crankshaft, you're looking at about 110 hours. 110 hours is what it takes. And that's why when price come into question, why do parts cost so much? So that's why we wanted to bring you guys here to show you what goes into manufacturing, just the parts themselves, even before you get to engine assembly, how much work goes into it. And a lot of the machines have built-in checks, and then you have manufacturing engineers and quality engineers checking those parts over many times over before they reach a final assembly.
Que loucura, guys. Isso aqui vocês têm que ver. Isso aqui é insano. Insanamente calculado, insanamente pensado. Isso aqui é demais. Sim.
Dessa maneira.
Olha que especial, cara. Show. Depois do tratamento ali de alodine, né? De alodínio. É alodínio?
No Brasil fala Alodine.
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 E aqui
Então,
Alodine.
Aerodine. Então depois do Alodine, ele fica daquela cor que é a cor Continental. Né? E não é só por estética, mas na verdade é por proteção. Tratamento, proteção, ajuda na, é anticorrosivo.
Cores, mas
Aí
esse
ficou
ficou na sua standard.
ficou a padrão Continental.
So that's a magnetic stripe, and that's what keeps the machine straight down the middle. And the pickers will go down those lines, pick all the necessary parts to build an engine, and lay them on the tables. So at which point every single table is a complete engine, but disassembled, right? So from here they're gonna move the table to the assembly line for final assembly.
Então essa parte do chão é feita com uma
linha
centerline,
magnética,
uma linha magnética, exato, que aí ajuda aos carrinhos, aos forklifts, né, a não esbarrarem nas laterais, porque imagina, isso aqui são peças de motores prontas para serem ou assembly, né, para ser construídos ou então para mandar para o aftermarket. Então para evitar que isso aconteça, eles têm toda a linha magnética, todo o cuidado para que os próprios motoristas e o próprio carrinho que tenha sensores não esbarrar nas laterais e não derrubar isso tudo, até porque cria um acidente terrível se isso acontecer, porque
Eu não
além
quero atrasar o motor de ninguém. padrãozinho, tem que manter o padrãozinho.
Além de tanto, e a pessoa que tá dirigindo, imagina, são caixas pesadíssimas, né? Então não pode acontecer. Legal demais. É tudo muito pensado, tudo muito estruturado. And what do you do? What did you do with the older ones? They change it, exchange it, or
No, they were auctioned off. They were sold on auction.
All right.
Yeah, when we decommissioned the machine, because they're still good machines.
Yeah.
They're still good machines. We just, upgraded to something new. So you see this area of the machine, that's called the tool hive. That's where all the tools are stored for the machine. So same thing, when the actual cutting unit needs a certain tool, it's going to be brought to it, switch it, and keep cutting right there.
Todas as pontas do torno para poder fazer o bloco.
crankcase machine. Então, crankcase, para você entender em português, é o bloco do motor. Então, agora a gente vai falar um pouco do bloco. A gente falou do pistão, falamos da comando de válvulas, falamos além do comando de válvulas, a gente falou também do eixo de manivela e agora a gente vai falar um pouco do bloco do motor.
This is very similar, in principle, it's very similar to the cylinder head machine, right? Same thing, modular design. We have 4 different machining units here, part of this line. So same thing, the operator will load the roll casting into it. It's going to bring it to specific machine station. The machining station will know which part number it has, right? Each part number ID, and then it's going to go from a casting to a fully finished crankcase. And then from the machine, it's going to go to deburr, it's going to go to Aladyne, and then it's going to get studs, right, for different applications. Because a lot of our engines share the same basic crankcase design, but the studding a lot of times decides which engine is going to go into. Have sandcast, which you see like on the Cessna 182, Cessna 210, that's a sandcast engine, and you can tell it by, it's got the oil cooler in the front, that's a sandcast engine, and the alternator is belt driven. On a permanent mold or per mold engine, the alternator is going to be in the front and the oil cooler is in the back. Right, so that's your Bonanza, Cirrus, that has a per mold engine design. So yes, all the crankcases is going to be made by this machine here.
It is big machine. It is a huge machine.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's the biggest machine that we have here, right? Maybe.
It is. It is the biggest machine that we have in-house, absolutely.
Of course, because of the size of the crankcase, but I guess because of the weight of the crankcase too, so that's why this has to be big.
But also the crankcase is the most complex machining process, right? Because it has the oil galleys, it has all the features. Yes,
Que se
the
tiver,
lifter boards.
se tiver algum problema, ele vai dar diferença de pressão de óleo, essas coisas do tipo. Então é um processo mais delicado, que a gente toma mais cuidado para poder ser feito.
Yes, because it has the most shapes and features.
Yeah.
And that's why the tool hive is so big, because it requires all these tools to machine it. Right?
And it takes about a week and a half. I'm seeing that now. How long it will take to get a crankcase raw and to be done in those machines?
About 3.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
About 3.5 hours for, it all depends. Some crankcases are more complex than the others. But a good time frame would be about 3 hours, 3.5
Só para ter
hours.
uma noção, essas 3 horas e meia é por conta dessa máquina.
Sim.
No passado eram cerca de 3, 4 máquinas diferentes e processos que levavam mais de semana para poder fazer um bloco, entendeu?
Another thing to keep in mind, each crankcase is composed of 2 halves, right? So those 2 halves are always mated to each other. So if you need to replace a crankcase, you can't just replace a half, because when we finish a full crankcase assembly, it gets line bored to make sure that all the holes are symmetrical and they're in perfect round, right? So that's why you see they're manufactured in pairs for that reason.
That's true.
So they all have to be together at all times when they go into the assembly, 2 halves made at the same time.
One question that I have is like, I know when you do overhaul of some engines, we change crankshafts, and sometimes you don't change the crankcase. So we can say the crankcase is more durable than the crankshaft?
It's not. Actually, they're both very durable parts. So when you overhaul an engine, the crankcase and the crankshaft, you can keep them. If you can bring them to new limits, right? Or you can bring them to serviceable limits, they can be overhauled. So like I talked to you about the crankshaft, if a journal needs polishing or it needs grinding, you can ground a journal 0.1 of an inch under. You just have to use oversized bearings. That's a perfectly acceptable crankshaft. Absolutely. So the crankshaft.
Is there any limits in overhauls to has to be replaced or no? It depends on the limits of the.
It depends on the measurements, right? So if you have to grind it less than 0.1 under, you can no longer use the crankshaft. That's it.
But if you keep them over it, you can use it for sure.
If your crankshaft was brand new, you can grind it 10 under. But if it's already 10 under and if you have to ground it more, you can use it. You have to replace the crankshaft. But you have crankshafts in the field that have 3 or 4 cycles already, so they're very durable.
O negócio é brabo. E é complexo, e é grande, tudo que você imaginar. Lá ele. Mas o negócio é complexo. Para! E vocês acham que as coisas vêm de fora, que as partes vêm de fora? Vem nada! É tudo Continental, my friends.
E toda essa área que a gente vai apresentar agora é toda a parte do sistema de combustível, injeção, magneto, alternador. Todos os componentes são feitos aqui dentro de casa.
USA, absolutely. So we talked about the major components. We talked about cylinders, crankshaft, camshafts, crankcase. But now we're going to talk about the supporting infrastructure, right? What makes it all move, right? So you need spark, you need fuel, you need air, and we're gonna talk about all these components here. So you follow me this way.
My friends, agora vem a parte dos componentes.
Falando dos músicos.
Falamos
Agora a gente vai falar dos maestros.
Na verdade, a gente falou dos quarterbacks, né, velho? Da defesa, aquele cara do que mantém o trem rodando ali. Independente do que aconteça, ele tem que estar girando, tem que estar bom.
So here we have another legendary employee.
Oh, yeah.
He's been with us for longer than 30 years.
30 years.
30 years career. So you have the body, and you have a nozzle that goes in it, right?
Yes.
2 pieces. So every single Continental injector went through this cell.
Todos os bicos injetores passam na mão dele.
He's a really important guy.
Absolutely. So our injectors are tuned. They have tuned injectors. So what you will see on the side of the injector, there will be a number stamped on it, right? So usually it's a 4-digit number. So the first number is going to be the cylinder position, and the other 3 numbers are going to be the nozzle size, right? So every single nozzle gets drilled to size and assembled here and also flow tested. So every single one gets drilled here to the certain size orifice and tested. And then from here again, they go to either aftermarket or on the manufacturing side.
Os motores novos ou repente.
There you go.
E aqui é bico pronto.
And this is how a fully assembled injector looks like.
Esse é como ele é pronto depois de tudo testado.
You have the shield. So here's what I'm talking about. The C says 6229 on the hex of the injector. This meaning that this is the cylinder number 6 injector and 229 is the orifice size.
Sempre nos bicos, ele tem o primeiro número é referente ao número do cilindro e o restante é do número de orifício do bico.
So a lot of the engines that even on your Bonanza, right? It has what's called a continuous flow fuel injection system, right? So you have your mechanical fuel pump, you have the throttle and controller assembly, you have the manifold valve, and then the injectors, right? So the throttle and controller assemblies are all being made here from all small individual pieces. They're all being assembled and tested here as well.
Beautiful.
This is a Continental fuel injection, mechanically driven fuel pump. So this arrives to us in just small parts of it, and everything is being assembled here. So we do not purchase this whole unit. It's made by one of our Continental employees here in-house. It gets manufactured, assembled, and then it gets tested. And then from here again, it can either go for an engine or it can be sold in the aftermarket.
Montagem, fabricação, teste, bancada, tudo feito, nada fora. A gente preferiu ter tudo embaixo, dentro da nossa casa, para a gente ter a certeza que tudo sai perfeito.
This one, I love it. This one, a 550M, serious. Yeah, love those. Flew them a lot, still flying. So we got a 200, 360, 550. Nice, man. Isso aí tudo tá indo para Oshkosh. How about the Oshkosh this year? Are you going? The Oshkosh this year?
I'll be there.
Over there? I think I'll be there too in the Bonanza. Not sure yet, but I'll try to be there in the Bonanza.
We'll pick all the parts from a warehouse and then we'll lay them on these tables. Each individual table constitutes an engine. So it's a full engine here. This is the very final pre-check before they roll the table onto the assembly, right? She will make sure that all the parts are present and give it one final visual check here, right? So we talk about another layer of safety added to make sure that all the parts are good to go. So from here, they're just gonna roll onto the assembly line.
Feita toda a verificação lá, para ver se tem todas as peças para poder fazer a montagem do motor, vem para cá e é onde que é iniciado o processo de montagem final do seu motor.
Previous to us, the crankshaft and the camshaft gears are going to be installed, as well as the connecting rods are going to be attached to the crankshaft. And this station is where the crankcase halves are going to be mated, right? So there's a very important process that happens here. On the side of the crankcase, if we're going to look here at this crankcase half, we're going to lay a thin layer of sealant here. And then we're gonna lay a silk thread. So it's like a very, very fine piece of string, right? And that's gonna be around the perimeter of the crankcase.
É assim que é selado o bloco.
And that is what's responsible for keeping the oil inside the crankcase, right? Keep in mind, that area is not pressurized. It's just splash lubrication, absolutely. But you ask, why can't you use a gasket or a O-ring? Here's why. Because the bearings, when you put the crankshaft halves together, that's what ensures that there is bearing crimping force. And that's why you have the connecting rods have such a high torque to keep those bearings in the place where they need to be. Now, if you're going to have a gasket, what happens to a gasket? If you squeeze it, over time it's going to lose, it's going to get flatter, it's going to lose the torque, and that's why it's metal to metal, and that string is what keeps the oil. The string paired with the sealant, it's going to keep the oil from coming out. So that's why you ensure you have sealed it, and then you also have bearing crimping force there as well. And that's why you can't use gaskets, right? So this is the throttle and controller assembly, right? So this right here is ready to go. So you have the intake. This is the actual controller. That's the throttle plate right here. So they move in unison because the throttle and the controller, they have to move in the proportionate. So you know, the more throttle you give it, that will actuate the fuel controller to give it more fuel. Absolutely. And this is a cooling shroud. So basically you'll have a scat hose go from the engine baffle to this to cool down this fuel controller assembly.
Essa unidade aqui é uma unidade rebuild, foi feita a revisão geral aqui na fábrica para ir para um motor ou rebuild ou para ser vendida como a peça final.
You can see the engine's getting bigger and bigger. Now we have cylinders installed, right? So here's another cool thing that happens here. If you look at that torque wrench over there, right, that is called a smart tool. So on the computer, it tells the operator which fastener to torque and what is the torque rating. So the tool knows when it reaches the proper torque rating, and it tells the operator, you've achieved it, move on to the next one. Another thing that does, all this is recorded, right? So we know which operator did which task and if everything is done properly. So every single part of this process gets documented electronically. So that's how we keep record of these engines.
The guys working and machines, we can see that it's environment,
Tudo muito preciso.
that everything works together. Yeah. E aqui, my friends, é o sonho, né? Os motores novos, alguns rebuilds e alguns novos. Olha só.
E só para comentar, na mesma linha são feitos os motores novos ou rebuild. É na mesma linha.
Na mesma linha.
So what you have here, you saw the engine sitting on the table with just a bunch of parts right on the table. And look at it now. It's a fully assembled engine. We have our fuel pump that we talked about. We have the starter adapter. We have the starter. And this is the scavenge pump. So this is going to be a turbocharged engine. And that's what takes the oil drain back from the turbo and sends it back into the crankcase, right? That's your oil cooler over here. So this is an almost complete engine. All the major components are here. And this is as far as this line goes. The magnetos will also get installed here in time to the engine at this point as well.
Que coisa legal, cara, que surreal. Então, nessa linha de montagem que ele recebe a etiqueta preta ou azul falando que ele é um novo, preta, ou azul falando que ele é um rebuild.
What we have here, it's called the dress out bay, right? So these cells are dedicated for engines that will receive turbochargers and exhaust systems from the factory. This is where the turbochargers are going to be installed along with the exhaust system and various other bits that are not going to be assembled on the main assembly line, right? So we have some engines that don't receive turbochargers, and a lot of them does, like the TSIO 550K for the Cirrus, right? They receive turbochargers. So the exhaust system, the turbos, the turbo clocking, because they have to clock the turbo for the exhaust outlet to face a certain way. All this fine work is done here, right? So this is the purpose of these bays over here. They're being lined up over here, and then they're gonna go to test.
And after they get tested, they go cleaning and then the blue box and ship it.
There'll be some more quality checks after doing the test to make sure that the engines perform and make rated power, that there are no oil leaks and everything functions properly. We run it for more than an hour at various power settings, and they have their own quality checks they do at the test and pack. So after the engine has passed the test with flying colors, then it's being put in that beautiful blue box and sent to the customer. So I'm glad you asked, Mario. So the Titan engine is our experimental product line. So this is primarily what I do on a daily basis. So they are being installed in pretty much any experimental engine kit that you can think about, from experimental Cobbs to Vans aircraft, Rans aircraft, and various others, right? So pretty much, or any 320 parallel valve or a 360 parallel valve engine will go, we can put a Titan in there. So very special engine. There are a lot of improvements for functionality, durability, and light savings, right? So what we have here, this is a 340 cubic inch engine. This one will make 180 horsepower because it has high compression pistons in it, right? So on the 340, Titan 340 will make 174 to 180 horsepower, and the 370 will make 187 to 195 horsepower, and that's dictated by the piston compression ratio, right? So these engines the configuration is almost infinite, right? You can have them carbureted and with regular magneto ignition. You can have them fuel injected with electronic ignition. We can do light speed full electronic ignition or dual PMAG ignition on these. So I work with customers, just tell them what they want, and I configure the engine, right? So you see how the cylinders fins are not straight on the barrel, right? They're tapered. This is also for weight savings, right? This one also has you see the holes in the crankshaft? This is also to make it lighter. So this is called a Lightning crankshaft, right? The customer can pick any color they want. We offer six different colors. Right, so then they can do the whole color for the whole engine, or they can do a crankcase of one color, and then the cylinder's a different color. See how nice these rocker covers are, all stainless steel polished rocker covers. Another cool thing about this engine is the oil sump. On the outside, it may look like any other one, but this one is actually made of a lightweight magnesium alloy. So is 7 pounds, or I'd say to transfer into kilograms, is about 3 kilograms lighter than the aluminum equivalent.
That's nice. And why are they specially to experimental aircrafts?
Because some of the parts are not certified, and experimental gives you more freedom. That's why builders decide, instead of buying a certified aircraft, they want to build their own, they want to customize their own, so it's their own aircraft. So if they want to experiment with new things, they're able to do so. But the majority of the parts are actually approved parts.
Yes.
The majority of the parts are approved parts.
And that is the thing. So all the parts come here to Continental, and you guys just assembly everything.
Oh, the parts are being machined. Absolutely. So the cylinder head, the cylinder barrel, the crankcase, the crankshaft, all that's down here at Continental. All that to those. So experimental is just the name. Yeah, the quality is all the same. So even though it is not necessarily required, if we manufacture a new part, even though it's experimental, it goes through the same approval process as the certified parts, right?
That is the goal.
So absolutely. And another thing that happens here, for those that don't know, Continental has an STC to install our Continental IO370 in the Cessna 172S models and some 172R models. So that's our Continental IO370 engine making 180 horsepower. And that one is also being manufactured here. So that engine is also being manufactured in this cell. So we have 2 persons that go here, that work here, and they get all the parts for them. And this is 1 person manufacturing from a bunch of parts to a finished engine. All that's being done here. Love it.
É isso, meu amigo. So, a aeronave experimental do rapaz, a aeronave experimental da pessoa, tendo o maior nível de segurança possível, porque é o motor feito Continental. Pronto. Aqui a gente fez um passeio completo na fábrica com o nosso brother Felipe, com a Andrea que fica se escondendo nos bastidores, e com o nosso brother Vadim, o Felipe. Fizemos esse walk around total na fábrica, explicando etapas por etapas, processos por processos, justamente para você ver o quão sério é levado aqui a fabricação, e não só como trabalho, como mão de obra, como algo muito parado, focado, sabe? Mas algo gostoso. Você viu quando a gente vai andando aqui, a própria Andrea vai falando com os trabalhadores, com as pessoas que trabalham, todo mundo com um sorriso no rosto, todo mundo gosta do que faz. A gente vê trabalhadores de 20, 30 anos trabalhando aqui fielmente e fortemente para fazer isso tudo acontecer. Eu, como aviador, eu fico muito feliz e muito seguro em ver isso tudo sendo feito, afinal isso leva a minha vida, né? São motores da Continental, são esses equipamentos que levam a gente de um lado para o outro, cruzando oceanos. O voo que eu fiz da Austrália para o Brasil, 130 horas de voo, foi em cima do motor da Continental, o Nioh 550 November, que foi o Cirrus. Então, ver isso de perto me traz ainda mais segurança do que eu faço, porque você tá maluco, os níveis de segurança realmente são elevadíssimos, cara.
Meu amigo, é em cima do Continental que você vai dar a volta ao mundo.
E é em cima de um Continental que nós vamos dar a volta ao mundo. I was talking to the camera, to the guy saying that it makes me happy to see this happen, because fly a lot. I cross oceans in a single engine. I did a flight from Australia to Brazil in a Cirrus. It was 130 hours of flight. Winter and hot season, rain, dust, everything I encounter on my route. So it makes happy to see, because this is what takes my life going. This is what keeps me alive. To cross an ocean, to deposit my security in there, to deposit my life in there, those engines. So it makes me happy to see this, because everything is make a high standard level of security, of safety. So thank you guys to make those for us. And now we're going to cross the entire world in a Continental engine. Yeah! Vambora, turma! Show, cara! Isso foi incrível, conhecer a fábrica, passo por passo, explicação por explicação, conhecer o maquinário, conhecer as pessoas, isso aqui incrível. insano, surreal. Espero que você tenha curtido. É algo mais profundo da aviação. Olha lá ele, ó. É algo mais profundo da aviação. Algo muito sério, tá? A gente brinca, dá uma risada, outra, mas é algo muito sério, é algo que move montanhas, é o que faz o avião voar. O avião não voa sem motor. O avião não consegue sair do ponto A. Então isso aqui é algo extremamente necessário e algo que precisa sim ser seguro. E vamos tentar trazer tudo para uma mesma linguagem, uma mesma linha de raciocínio, uma mesma fala. Porque é isso que a aviação é. Vamos trazer informação para todo mundo falar a mesma língua. Porque
A gente quer que vocês
Isso aí.
estejam mais próximos da gente, que vocês, muitas vezes, evitem de ter algum problema futuro, tirando essa dúvida com a gente.
é isso aí.
A gente está de portas abertas para poder receber, esclarecer, ajudar no que for necessário. A gente está aqui para isso.
Isso que é legal. O que nós vamos fazer? Vamos deixar um e-mail para você que tem dúvidas sobre a operação do motor, dúvidas sobre a segurança, qualquer dúvida que você tiver, pode mandar um e-mail. E também, se você quiser saber mais sobre os motores ciclodiesel que a gente vai falar daqui a pouco, sobre como funcionam, como adquirir esses motores, a gente vai deixar no e-mail aqui na descrição também, para você poder mandar, acessar, pedir uma cotação.
Sintam-se à vontade para poder ter a nossa ajuda
É isso.
e deixar tudo claro. Né?
É isso que nós queremos fazer, tá? Trazer vocês mais perto da gente, trazer vocês... Da gente não, eu sou piloto, eu sou aviador. Trazer mais perto dessa galera aqui, ó. Da Continental, de quem fabrica os motores, de quem faz a coisa acontecer. Aqui, guys, chegamos na parte de Ferry Hope, onde fica a parte de manutenção, a parte de overhaul dos motores que chegam na Continental.